Right, so welcome back to this presentation on teaching of reading using happy readers, part 3. In part 1 and part 2, we've covered the reading fundamentals and how it fits to level 1. We then covered teacher support materials and using it in the classroom. And I hope you've enjoyed practicing some of those activities. We're now going to look at the area of progress monitoring. And this is an essential part of the successful implementation of any happy readers program, because this allows you, the teachers, and the TICs and the heads to manage the process of getting all of the children through all of the Happy Readers program. And that is the key to them improving their reading successfully. So the key part and the key tools of progress monitoring is the reading register. And this is a little booklet that you find in your class boxes. And there are 2 different types of booklet. The one is the class reading register. You see there with the yellow label for level 1. There's one for level 2 separately. And this logs this you use as a teacher to log each and every child as they progress through each of the Happy Readers modules, again in sequence. Then at the end of each term, the teacher will summarize the performance to count out how many have done book 1, how many have done book 2, book 3, etc. And the summary register is prepared by the teacher, is then submitted to the TIC, who works together with the head to oversee and record the overall progress. And this information is also reported back to the project so that we can report back to the donor. So it forms a full cycle of monitoring the use of the scheme. Inside the reading register, there are a number of sheets. There's enough sheets to do 7 classes of 60 children in total. So over 400 children can be monitored using a single reading register booklet. What we have here, we see here what's inside the book. We have information at the top and then an overall register. Again, the structure is very similar to the attendance register. So much as we use the attendance register to record the attendance of children, so we use a reading register to record the reading progress of children. And again, we are measuring progress through the scheme. We're not using this to actually measure reading ability at this stage. Okay, there is a book for level 1 and a book for level 2, and we will soon be combining them so that we have one book for all grades. So when we are filling in the reading register, the first thing we need to fill in is the information at the top, which is the class details. And please, can I ask you to fill this in on every single page. If you need to use multiple pages for the same class, please put this information at the top of each page, because sometimes these will be photocopied for reporting and filing. And so we need to be able to see from a photocopied page or a snapshot of a page which school and class it belongs to. So we log the district, the school, the class, and I suggest you put the class in the year. So we have grade 2, 2019, grade 2, 2020, etc. And your name as the teacher. And then this should be updated weekly, and maybe just flag the date there when last it was updated. Then in the body of the register, what we put are the names of the children, whether they're male, female, date of birth, and when they started Happy Readers. And then under each book, we mark the date when they complete that book. So there's a worked example there. We have 5 children, male, female, date of birth, when they started Happy Readers. And then we mark the date they complete each book. So you see the first child at the top has completed 3 modules. The next 3 have only completed book 1, and the last child has completed 2 books. So again, the register allows for variation in the rate of progress amongst different children. When, for example, that first child, when they complete the 3rd book, i.e. all the books of the yellow group of books, we then mark that milestone on a reading register card. And it's an individual reading record card. These are provided in the boxes, and you have A4 printed sheets which can be sliced into 3 separate cards, which can then be folded and they fit into the pocket of each child. The child can then use it to show their parents or even to show their friends and peers in the playground. So we can get a bit of competition going to make the children want to complete the modules. An example of how you use it is it's cut and folded, and it fits neatly into the pocket of a child, and we fill in all their details. And then as they complete each third book, each full group of color, each full color group, the 3 yellow books, 3 blue books, 3 red books, the teacher marks off the date and signs the box. So one card will last a child throughout all 3 levels of happy readers. So we fill in the reading register, and then when a child completes a milestone of a color group, we mark it on their individual reading card. So that's the progress monitoring we do during the term on an ongoing basis. And obviously this is done weekly, and we have a gradually evolving progress day to day. At the end of term, we want to gather a summary. So we want to see at the end of each term, as our time point, where are we in terms of the overall progress against the objective of getting all of the children to read all of the books. And what we mark here is this is updated termly. So for example, we see it's updated in April, then in August, then in December. And what we log here is we count the number of children who have completed each book at that point in time. So here, for example, we see that as of April, there are 50 pupils in the class, 40 of them have done book 1, and 30 have done book 2, and none of them have completed any of the other modules. What we then calculate is the target is the number of pupils times 9 books. The target here is the total book reads, i.e. how many books read by how many children. And we see here we have 50 children times 9. Our target is 450. And as of April, we have a total of 40 plus 30, which is 70, and that gives us a completion rate of 16%. As of the end of August, right? We can see we have extended more, and the more children have read more of the books. We have 175 book reads out of 450. We have a 39% completion rate. And then in December, right, again, more and more children have completed more and more of the books. And in fact, we have all the children have completed the first 2 books at least. They're making good progress on the others, and far fewer have then done the end books. And this is not a typical scenario. And now we're up to a total of 72% complete. Remember, 100% complete means all of the children have read all 9 books. And that completion rate is per level. Okay. So when we look at filling in the register form, let's look at the details. First thing we fill in are the class details here, the class, the teacher, the grade level, and the date. And then we count how many have completed each book. So here we have 50 pupils in the class, 40 have done book 1, 30 have done book 2, and we look at the overall progress here. So we see as the example before, 50 pupils times 9 books gives you 450 total. We have a total of 70 book reads, 40 plus 30, gives us a 16% completion rate. And we see as we progress through August, we find more pupils have done more books. We're up to 175 book reads, 39% complete. And by the end of the year, we've got 325 total book reads, more pupils reading more of the books, making the progress. We're at 72% complete. And we can also see that we're pretty much complete on the yellow books. We're mostly complete on the blue books, and with the red books, we've still got a little bit of a way to go. But this allows you, the TICs and the heads and the teachers, to manage the process on a termly basis. And then gradually we do this each term, and over the years, we'll gradually fill in more and more, so we get completion on level 1, completion on level 2, and completion on level 3. So once we've done that, that's for an individual class. Once that has been done at the end of each term, the TIC should gather all of the summary forms from the teachers and use this to fill in the summary register book. And this is a new book that will be issued to you separately. And this is the one with the white label. And it's basically the same sort of process, but now instead of doing it just for one class, we're now gathering it to summarize for each of the classes at the school who are using happy readers. So for example, we see here we have a copy of the summary for each grade or class. We have grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4, all at the same date, all at April. And we see the end, we have grade 2 has made some progress, grade 3 has made more progress, and grade 4 has made even more progress than that, as we would typically expect to see. And again, we have our percentage completions. We have 16% for grade 2, 39% for grade 3, and 72% for grade 4. And then what we do is we do the total for all the classes at the bottom, just right in a line at the bottom for all the grades. We count out how many classes are using happy readers. In this example, it's 3. We sum up all the totals of the columns above, and we calculate the total. So across the school, we are at 42% complete as of the 1st of April. And we would gradually expect that to increase and improve as we go through each of the terms. And what the heads and TICs should be watching for is, are each of the classes making similar progress, and are they reaching the end goal of completion? Okay, so that summarizes that, and then eventually the education coordinator will be going around each of the schools and gathering this information for the schools. So it's a progressive summarization process. So let's look at the overall project progress monitoring cycle. And every week, the teacher logs when a child completes each book. And we do iterate, ensure that the child has completed each of the 4 stages and can do them without assistance. Don't just tick children off because the rest of the group has done it. Otherwise, we won't be ensuring the learning. Step 2, when a child completes a color group of 3 books, then you update their individual reading card, as we've seen before. And the TICs and the heads should be monitoring the teachers and ensuring that the reading register is being accurately maintained for each class and pupil who is using happy readers. Then at the end of each term, each teacher uses the reading register to summarize the number of pupils who have completed each book onto the summary form. And this again is a form that will be issued to you. And at the same time, end of term, TIC and head use the summary register book to record the summary for each class and use 1 summary book per school year. The summary book has space for term 1, term 2, and term 3 for each of the happy readers levels, level 1, level 2, level 3. And then at the start of each school year, the reading register booklet should pass on to the next grade teacher, i.e. it moves with the children, with the class. It does not remain with the same teacher, because we want to ensure that those children who have not completed the red books by the end of the school year, they carry on with those red books of level 1 when they move on to their next grade, and don't try and start level 2 if that's what the rest of the class is on. We'll look at some of the sort of results we get, sort of charts we can do. We can compare overall progress towards completion by grade, class, and school. Remember, completion is all pupils have done all 9 books. And we see a bar chart there that shows some of the classes are 80 to 90% complete, but there's 1 or 2 that are 50% complete, falling behind, 1 at 72%, and overall we're at 80% completion. So we can see a comparison between classes and even between schools. Okay? And then the bottom chart shows the progress through the scheme by book and color group. So we can see, for example, that grade 2, most children have done the yellow books, about half of them have done the blue books, and much fewer have done the red. Whereas in the other classes, again, we have similar levels of completion for the yellow, higher levels of the blue, and again, higher levels of the red. And then for donor reporting, we use a metric called total book reads, which is the total number of children whose total number of children times the number of books read. And it gives a very useful metric. You could say, well, we bought 1,000 books and they have been read 5,672 times. So it's a very powerful metric to give to our donors, which hopefully keeps them on board, so they keep providing us with the next levels of the scheme. We can then measure how many children have at least started Happy Readers, and then how many have completed Happy Readers and have completed each level. And this helps us to judge when a school is ready to move on to the next level. And then we can also calculate the average number of times each book has been read. This is again a good metric to show the books are being used, but also if we do have issues where there are not sufficient quantities of books, then these figures allow us to justify to the donor saying, well, you've given us these books and each of these books has been read 22 times, whereas ideally it should be 4 to 5 times to get the right ratio of pupils to books. So again, it's providing metrics to enable you, the teacher, to monitor it, the heads TICs to manage the overall program, and us as the project coordinators to make sure that everything runs smoothly and report back to the donors. This is an essential part of the whole feedback cycle. And again, the old management adage is you cannot manage what you cannot measure. And this provides a way to measure so that we can manage it. So that brings us to the end of this part 3 of teaching reading of using happy readers. So we'll pause the video now, and if we want to discuss this and ask any questions, then I'm sure the facilitator will be happy to take any questions and discuss this. Thank you very much.